This is Across America with Carol Costello, August 21st, 2017.
There will be action in Washington when it comes to even studying mass shootings, and that includes Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu. He's so frustrated with inaction in D.C., he walked out of the House chambers during a moment of silence and posted this on his Facebook page.
My colleagues right now are doing a moment of silence in the House of Representatives chambers. I respect their right to do that, and I myself have participated in many of them, but I can't do this again. I've been to too many moments of silences. In just my short career in Congress, 3 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history have occurred. I will not be silent.
Congressman Lieu is with me now. Welcome, sir, and welcome to the show. Critics might say that what you pulled is just a stunt.
Thank you, Kara, for your question. Let me first say I happen to be Christian, and when I heard the tragic news of the mass shooting in Texas, I prayed for the victims. But I'm no longer going to participate in a brief moment of silence on the House floor. I've been to far too many of them, and every time a mass shooting happens, we do this moment of silence, and that's it. Nothing else happens. And to me, that is not what we should be doing. We have the power to try to prevent mass shootings by passing reasonable gun safety legislation like a ban on assault rifles, universal background checks, and a ban on bump stocks.
Well, still, a moment of silence. Some people might say you even politicized that.
I view it as doing my job to highlight this issue because you don't want Congress to just do moments of silences every time a mass shooting happens. You want us to take action to try to prevent this shooting from happening in the first place. And specific to this specific incident, it looks like there was something regarding the domestic violence charge not being put into the background check system. There's also an issue of the UCMJ, Uniform Code of Military Justice, not having a domestic violence offense. I'm a former Air Force prosecutor. We're looking at fixing that.
Well, then I do want to ask you this question, now that you bring that up, because this shooter was convicted of threatening his wife with a gun and fracturing a baby's skull. The baby nearly died. He spent 1 year in confinement, and then they kicked him out of the Air Force. Was that enough?
That was a horrific act that the shooter did before his mass shooting. I don't know the particulars of that court-martial. It seems to me he should have gotten more than 1 year confinement for fracturing a baby's skull. But there clearly was a problem in transferring that charge to the database. And it's not just an Air Force issue. Last year, the FBI released a report saying the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, together, they only reported 1 incident of domestic violence. That can't be true. So I think this is a Department of Defense-wide problem.
Oh, so you think all branches of the military are neglecting to put convictions of domestic violence into the federal database?
Yes, based on the report from the FBI last year, no one put it in except for 1 case, and it cannot be that there were no domestic violence cases in the military branches for all of last year.
So do you think that Congress will really look into that and sit down and maybe, I don't know, form a committee to talk about it, or will anything really happen?
So I'm on the House Judiciary Committee. We have oversight over the background check database. We're calling on the Democratic side for hearings on this issue. And I'm also pleased that the Department of Defense has announced that their Inspector General is looking into this issue to make sure it doesn't happen again.
But as far as like, I don't know, banning bump stocks or maybe commissioning a study on mass shootings and how we might be able to prevent them in the United States, do you really think that will ever come to anything on the Hill?
I do. Keep in mind that Senator Feinstein had put in an assault rifle ban earlier in her career. We can pass reasonable gun safety legislation.
Yeah, but the Republicans control Congress right now, and they don't want anything like that.
In 1 year, the voters get to vote on whether they want to change the makeup of Congress. And in the meantime, we're just trying to highlight this issue and trying to get some action done. And I think bump stocks is something we get bipartisan support on because there are bipartisan members of Congress that are supporting that legislation right now.
We'll see what happens. Congressman Ted Lieu, thanks so much for being with me.
Thank you.
Want in on the secret to ageless skin? Take the